the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jay Rodius, Jared Dubois, a man who knows a lot about comments. Way too much about comments.
Not about comments in general.
Well, one particular All right, I can't. There's a rule in radio that you're not supposed to carry over an off-air conversation to an on-air situation because the audience is like, I don't
luckily
know.
We're on the radio.
No, I know exactly what I'm saying. We can say fuck those rules, and we can talk about what we just brought up. No, we're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team roster. Promise you, it's a weirdo roster. We're all very confused. We're trying to figure it out. Jonathan Tannenwald says, how does following Balogun into the team? Why he wasn't on the first roster and then they added him last? Whatever's happened. What's going on here? Now, whatever. So tell the people what you were telling me. You asked me if I knew about something, and then you were aghast that your friend Jason Davis had no clue what was happening.
You hadn't heard of Three-Eye Atlas.
I don't know what a three-eyed walrus is or whatever that. What is this?
The Three-Eye Atlas. The three-eye meaning the third thing that's ever been recorded to come from interstellar space into our solar system. Atlas being his designation. That this
according to
42 kilometer wide. This 42 kilometer wide object is flying through our solar system perfectly on the orbital plane, flying by Jupiter and Mars. Like, you haven't heard any of this.
I do know the number 42. That is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. I have heard that before.
I encourage you all to research it because it is scientifically fascinating.
Jared's a big galaxy guy. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, Connor. Thank you very much.
If you take 42 the kilometers and add them together, that's 6. That's how many championships the galaxy have. So there's a tie in here.
So I'm referencing Hitchhiker's Guide, and you're talking about the Galaxy soccer team, and it's all tied together. Everybody,
Three-Eye Atlas. Just go Google it and start doing some reading. It's very fascinating.
Three-Eye Atlas. Sure. We're here to talk about the U.S. men's national team roster that dropped yesterday. That surprised a lot of people. Now, yes, I guess if we want to talk about that late edition, which I just mentioned, following Balogun coming into the team, apparently he's taking Brian White's spot because Brian White says, I got called up, but I'm not feeling great. I can't come in, and Balogun gets named. So I think this is right. As Mateo says, Brian White was called up in front of Balo. That makes me nervous about Poch. That's what makes you nervous about Poch, Mateo?
I actually missed that because I knew originally he called 23 instead of 24, and there's one player to be added at some point.
He called 22 instead of 23.
22 instead of 23. So I thought the Balogun was the addition. I didn't pick up on the fact that Brian White had exited the roster. There's still one more player to be called in then?
No, I think it was 20. There's 22 names on this roster. Balogun makes 23. But White would have been 23, but he pulled out of the camp because of whatever he's dealing with. Can you count these on the fly? I think this is 22. And then again, add Balogun. So I don't. Okay. And JTT, it was about Balogun's fitness, not prioritizing White. So I guess it's a issue. All right. So maybe Balogun wasn't fit. They said, hey, Brian, do you want to come in? Brian White said, I can't do it. And then Balogun was fine.
I think we've lucked ourselves into one thing that makes sense in this roster, to be honest with you.
What's that?
What is it? We should get a look and see how Balogun is starting coming back from his injury and get him into the roster again. Striker is now a place we have depth. Brian White obviously has been called into camps, but Poch doesn't seem to trust him. He's not starting any of the games.
No, I would
why
say
not bring a potential starter?
I understand that. I understand that. But once again, this is a situation where I just feel extremely underwhelmed. I mean, I don't know that any player, I had to think about it. We'd have to go through the history, Jared. Has any player had a bigger gap between hype and excitement and what he's actually delivered than Fowler and Balogun?
Freddie Adu.
Okay, well, that's a little different, I suppose. But yeah, I suppose.
I mean, you can't say Gio Reyna because Gio Reyna actually delivered a few times on when he's played.
Sure, and he's
I
obviously
think he's reached his heights, that we wanted, and he's on the downslope now. But yeah, Balogun is yet to kind of reach that. He had that really strong first season over at Lille, and all the hype coming out of the Arsenal youth program, and yeah, since signing for the US, I don't know if we're unlucky or what.
Signing. What a modern
Well,
term.
I mean, he chose the US. How's that?
No, you're right. Well, okay, and in retrospect, and maybe we didn't know, and it's still possible that Valorant Balogun starts to deliver something on his talent, but
sure,
based on what's happened so far, it's not like any of those other countries would be upset they didn't get him, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, he's so far away from England, it's not even funny. And then what was the other team he was eligible for? It was eligible for the parent, the team, the country of his parents, right? So he was eligible for an African nation. So I don't want to get wrong which one he was eligible for, but obviously I don't know that they're like, damn, we missed out on Nigeria. Damn, we missed. The Super Eagles are like, Valorant Balogun chose the U.S. Oh, this stinks. It is what it is. Okay, so Balogun is a part of this discussion, and I guess the man technically still does have.
Okay, assholes, sun's out, guns out.
Maybe he's got guns to bring to the table. Maybe he does. Baloguns. So let's look at this roster, and then we can talk about our feelings about it. So the goalkeepers are Roman Celentano, Matt Freese, and Jonathan Klinsmann.
Weird.
It starts off weird. We barely got into this.
Weird, dude.
It's super weird.
Goalkeeper's the one place where it's just like 2 out of the 3 makes sense usually. You're like, yeah, take a flyer on the third, whoever you want. We're taking a flyer on the first.
There's a flyer in the first. There's a book on the second, but it's not a deep, long book with a lot of chapters in it. And then there's, what? Defenders are Max Arfsten, who seems to be a poach favorite. He's becoming the Jonathan Bornstein. I like Max.
No,
I think he's a good player.
Unfair.
Why? Bornstein was a good player. He just wasn't a great player.
He was not enjoyed by the fan base. I don't think you can put that on Arfsten.
Oh, okay. Let's take a quick poll of the people watching this show now. And if you're watching after the fact, leave a comment or send us a message and tell us how much you enjoy.
Max Arfsten's had, 4 caps? I mean, you got to give him a while. But Bornstein had a career to make an opinion about him.
That is not how it went down. I think you're rewriting some history there. Jonathan Bornstein pretty quickly, when he got introduced to the national team, became a guy that people did not like seeing. And Max Arfsten has 10 caps, by the way. So it's not that he can't do things. Max Arfsten is a great attacking option from wide areas. What he is not is a defender. And in a team that plays a 4-back system, everybody's like, Noah Kai Banks. We can come back to this, but I just want to go through the names. Noah Kai Banks, Tristan Blackman, Serginho Dest, Alex Freeman, Nathan Harriel, Tim Ream, Chris Richards. Midfielders, Tyler Adams, Sebastian Berhalter, Luca de la Torre, Diego Luna, Jack McGlynn, and Sean Zawadzki.
Who?
Forwards, Damian Downs, Christian Pulisic, Josh Sargent, Tim Weah, and Alex Zendejas. So you said weird with goalkeepers. I think we've addressed that, although, again, the Klinsmann thing is just so out of left field that I'm stunned by it.
Yeah,
Matt Turner's right there.
As a Galaxy fan, they got to watch Jonathan Klinsmann. He's not bad. He's not great either. I mean, I'm not sure what he's done in Serie B. How do you say B in Italian?
Yeah,
B.
Yeah, it's like that. B. What's up, B?
Serie B. It's shocking that whatever he's doing there has displaced potentially Matt Turner, Zach Steffen, Patrick Schulte. Like we need to talk in general terms before we get specific here.
Yeah,
I think you read off all the names. Before we just dive into this, we need to address the dichotomy of what U.S. soccer is saying right now. You have
Pochettino.
No, I want to talk in U.S. soccer. Okay.
Okay. All right.
The Twitter account for U.S. soccer literally set out a tweet yesterday. No more friendlies between now and no. There's no such thing as friendlies between now and 2026.
Right.
Yet you have Yet you have Pochettino still talking about experimenting and figuring out, seeing new players and seeing players. So which is it?
Oh,
is there no more friendlies between now and then? Not that everything is important.
I would say
nothing is important.
I would say that I don't know that I get too worked up about the marketing messaging not necessarily lining up with the vision of the coach, but it wouldn't hurt U.S. Soccer to make sure that
fans.
No, absolutely. It wouldn't hurt U.S. Soccer to be like, hey, Poach, what kind of team are you putting together? What do we got here? We have a bunch of guys that we all know. You're solidifying your core, and for him to be like, no, that's not how we work. That's not what we do.
What is the time period that we get to see what his best 11 is? Like, I don't know if any journalist has answered that question in the media, but at what point do we get to see when should we expect to see your best 11 or your best 23 roster?
I think, and I know Jonathan Taylor Tannenwald was involved in the call. I listened in yesterday. I think that, without it being directly asked, when will we see your starting 11 for the World Cup? He addressed it by saying, it's a long time. We don't know. We don't know who's going to be around. I got 60 to 65 players in my pool.
Are we wrong that maybe as professional soccer players, you should be able to put them on the field and just execute the game plan, that we don't need to see them for 6 months to a year playing together?
I think that is his attitude. I think his attitude is very much, and I don't want to generalize. I don't think it's just about being South American or just about being Argentinian, but I do think his attitude is the selection of the national team is the best selection you have at that moment for a team you want to put together. And what matters is the team you put together right before the tournament to play in the tournament. This doesn't matter for that. He said flat out, I'm not going to have 15 or 16 or 17 players in a core and then everybody else is fighting for those other spots. That's not how we work. Everything is open.
JTT right? Says in the chat, he did say clearly he sees this window as his last one.
Sure. We are getting to that point, but he's still, again, his idea of when he is testing things out is different than when a lot of people think he should already be locking things in.
Yeah.
And that's clearly not the case. Again, he sacrificed people that are not here. He sacrificed Weston McKennie. Now, you can argue about Weston's place at Juve maybe being a factor, and I don't know that Poach was trying to excuse himself so much as just saying, hey, everybody's got different situations. But he said he clearly decided that Weston is a player he doesn't need to see right now because he needs to get different midfielders into this group. Whether that's McGlynn again, Diego Luna again, Luca Della Torre again, Sebastian Berhalter again. These are Gold Cup players, right? Weston was not a Gold Cup player.
Midfielder, by the way, as a midfielder.
Well, he's not. He could play in that 10 spot. If you're playing a 3-man midfield, he could be playing at the tip of that diamond or the tip of that.
This will be interesting because this is one of the first times Luna is going to have to take the back seat to Pulisic in the preferred positioning that he's been successful with the U.S. national team.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what he wants to see.
A feature player.
He didn't get to see that in the Gold Cup period. Maybe that's what he's looking for here. Let's see what Luna and Pulisic look like. And if I'm playing that way, maybe I don't want Weston McKennie. I don't need a two-way midfielder who's going to get higher up the field. I need a couple of guys. Now, he didn't bring in Johnny Cardoso either. But again, sort of, he's getting settled.
Makes sense. He's just got to a new club. I understand that. I understand that Jenny Robinson's just coming back from injury. He's not even starting yet for Fulham. He was on the bench. He even got sub minutes on the weekend. There's a few guys here and big names here. Pepe, I don't really understand. Pepe's on the bench. I know he's coming back from a bit of injury, but he's on the bench.
He's coming off a long-term injury, right?
Not as long as Anthony. No, Andy Robinson has surgery in the offseason.
Pepe came off a long-term injury to be back for this season to just barely be getting his feet wet.
You're right. He missed the back end of the Champions League. He missed the back end of the Champions League.
I got no problem with Ricardo Pepi being brought back slowly.
Joseph Scally, who's playing consistently at Mönchengladbach. I mean, I don't know that he's anyone's favorite right back, but it's hard to look off a guy who's getting consistent minutes in one of the better leagues in the world.
I think you're looking at a profile here for the kind of player that he wants in those positions.
I think what you're looking at is a guy who wants to play a 5-man back line.
Possibly. Which,
because again, when you look at what's been brought in here.
But has he done that? When has he done? How often has he done that? In the Gold Cup,
he did it.
Okay, he did it. But, I mean, do we think that he's shifting to that system? It's going to be a 5-man back line.
Listen, he has said that he's experimenting. He's finding things out here. What he's brought in, If you look at the midfield that's been brought in, there's zero width in that midfield. That is a narrow midfield, and it has three defensive midfielders if you count Wazki coming out of center back in that position.
But even with a 4-back system, they haven't had width. They haven't had played with width in midfield.
But look, what do they have now? They didn't have before. They have Serginho Dest, and if you play that 3-man back, that 5-man back line, and you have Arston as well. So now, if you start thinking, why is Arston there? Arston may be there because in a 5-man back line, he and Dest have free reign to go forward. And if you're playing a Tyler Adams and Berhalter midfield, you have that freedom to let those guys go and actually play to their strengths.
Sure, and I would argue, I would say that working in your favor in terms of evidence is that Tristan Blackman is a center back and a back three in Vancouver, right? And he's
plays with the other guy in your spine right in front of you in Berhalter.
Yeah, I think you're probably looking at if what you're saying is true, what you're saying it's probably Ream, Richards, and Blackman.
Yeah,
as your center backs, and then
you're even with Alex Freeman, who's a little bit more of a traditional right back, has the ability to go forward still.
100%.
And Nokai Banks is the asterisk here.
He's a wild card. Yeah, he's a wild card. Yeah, sure.
But it really makes sense, and especially when you think about Christian Pulisic, how he likes to play on that left side inverted, opening up that channel for Arston to go in behind. I mean, the overlaps are plenty. It's going to allow Christian Pulisic to cut in on his right foot. And all starts to make sense a little bit when you start thinking of this as a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, however you want to think of it, lineup.
So if it is that a 5-back system, and you got wing backs in Dest and Arston on the other side, and obviously I think in Harriel and Freeman you've got players that are probably more comfortable playing that kind of style anyway. Then what does the midfield look like?
For me, I think you have to go 2 holding midfielders in Tyler Adams and Sebastian Berhalter, and they featured during the Gold Cup and did serviceable there. And I think that having them there also gives Diego Luna freedom. I mean, I think you're going to see a very reined in Tyler Adams and Berhalter, doing a lot of dirty work to allow the 3 of Arston, Dest, and Luna to attack freely. That's what I see.
Okay, and then you're playing Christian Pulisic and
I think Josh Sargent. I mean, I think it's Josh Sargent. And then, I think it's going to be those two. Tim Weahs may be on the outs there in the 3-5.
Yeah, if you're playing a 3-5-2, somebody's got to sit. There's one fewer out and out attacking player in that area. If you're not playing a 3-forward line, so then that would be Tim Weah.
For me, Alex Dejas and Tim Weah scream late game subs when you want width and you want speed. We were a little bit shocked that Alex Dejas didn't get a call up for the Gold Cup. Excuse me. Because he ended the season so strong with America, and he, like John Cardoso, has been snake bit at the national team level, but you can't deny the results that he's getting with Club America.
Yeah, there was a Club World Cup complication, right? At least we thought there might be one for Club America, so that was a thing. So and there is some chat going on here in terms of what this could look like. Riverside Grove in position, one of the center midfielders drops into the right back position so Dest can go forward. Obviously, this is something, and I think Tyler is pretty versed at those kind of things.
Part of the job, man.
Yeah,
I mean when you think of the fullbacks he's had at Bournemouth as well, some of which got sold recently. I mean, a lot of forward attacking fullbacks there, and he's had to fall back in. I forget the name of the guy they just sold to Liverpool, but
who are we talking about? I'm sorry.
For Bournemouth, they're left back or the right back?
Oh,
Kirkes.
You're talking about Kirkes. Yeah, who hasn't looked great, by the way.
Still, that was the job Tyler had last year. That guy had to have freedom, but Tyler Adams has to fall into that, and he's nothing new to him. I'm not worried about that part of the field.
So I think, look, I don't know that I can have blind faith in Mauricio Pochettino because the results with the national team so far haven't been stellar. I also think there's a disconnect, and there's a difference between what the fans kind of want, which is to feel good about this team and to have some wins under our belt and have a little bit of wind at our backs going into the World Cup, and how Pochettino thinks about the job, which is get to May of 2026 with some idea of what your best team is.
I think he's just trying to get the most complete picture possible right now. And that is vexing to a fan base that wants to start seeing some consistency in results. So it's like,
if you go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, if you take that selection idea and take it to its extreme, which a lot of countries do. It doesn't matter if you play for Juventus. It doesn't matter if you play for a top level team in any Big 5 league in the world, unless you are performing when you play for the national team, or unless it is 100% that you are just the best option and there's nobody touching you, then you can very easily lose your place. And he said there's competition. So Kevin is saying the major surprise absences, in quotes, are absent because they have sucked for the national team lately, and especially in March. So if you want to look at it that way,
we're not lumping Andy Robinson into that, right?
Well, Jedi Robinson he's hurt.
I mean, that's a surprise absence.
He's coming back from injury. So again, that's another player I think would definitely be in this team. And probably you're looking at, well,
my issue with this roster is not the starting 11. I see the path to the starting 11 that's competitive and potentially winning these games. I think there's an issue when you talk to depth. There's an issue of depth here. You have a lot of really green guys taking up positions that when you need.
But why does he care about that? He's got 2 games, 180 minutes of competitive soccer. Friendly competitive soccer. Why would he care about depth? He wants to see these, but he wants to see these play again. It's not for him. This isn't just about the games. He wants to see these players in training, right? He wants to see them compete against one another. And maybe it doesn't matter to him if he's taking, you're saying that there's a depth issue, but for Mauricio Pochettino, who's got these wide eyes about the player pool and is just kind of trying to take it all in, he may look at this and go, I don't know that there's a gap. Show me that there's a gap if I take certain.
No, I think what it is he has a strong 11 with 2 good subs in Zendejas and Weah, and he can take a free ride at a camp look at for a bunch of guys that are on the fringe. I really think that's what this is. Like, bring a bunch of guys in, like Noakai Banks, Zwodzki, bring some of these guys in that you probably haven't got to see as much. So even look at the keeper position. Holy crap. Bring some guys in. It's a free camp for 2 weeks, and you're not really having to sacrifice too much on the starting side because you weren't bringing Jedi Robinson anyway. You probably weren't bringing Pepe anyway as well. So who's the true player that's been left off is McKennie. He's really the only true player that's not here that potentially should be, excluding goalkeepers.
Again, I think there's some thought in the chat that he doesn't necessarily deserve to be here based on the play that he's had for the national team in his last appearances.
But either
again, I can't. Well, sure, fair. I would say, but he wasn't. Okay, that's fair.
McKennie ended the season fine with Juventus in form wise.
Well, he's not. But that's the thing. Again, the argument isn't who cares what you do with your national or with your club team. It's when you're with the national team, what do you do? And have you earned your place?
It's not. This is a good shot from Connor in the chat right here. Is this camp just about finding the bench players?
I don't think so. I don't think that this. I don't think Pochettino. And we're gonna hear one cut from him because he talked about MLS, and that's something that sparked some conversation. I don't get the impression he's a guy that has anything sort of like, maybe he does have a sense of something, and it would be crazy if he didn't at least have something on paper or like an idea. But I really do think he kept saying open. That was the word of the press conference yesterday. We are open. Basically, if you get called in, you have a chance to prove you belong in the team. It's not about it's not even about like bench player or not. He's going to find 23 players and then decide what they look like on the field when he puts them together to play next summer. He's not like,
I honestly think he wants to figure out how does he build a 23-man roster that gives him the most options possible for whatever scenario in the World Cup. And that's the job, right? So yeah, maybe you do play this camp at a 3-5-2 and you see what this team can do in that formation. You know what it can do in a 4-3-3. We've seen plenty of it. But maybe you do take a flyer on a few guys. And I'm not trying to let him off the hook for calling in, which is a weird roster, but I can make sense of what his potential reasoning is. I just am frustrated by it when I see the names.
Some people think of what you just said, though, as making excuses for him. And that thing of reverse engineering his thinking feels like you're saying, oh, I give credit to the accomplished former Tottenham, Chelsea, PSG manager, and therefore
But you brought him in to be different. You brought him in to be different.
I know. And that's what JTT is saying. The public supposedly asked for a big name foreigner to come in and tell us how to soccer. So now he's in and people don't like his opinions. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that he picks a bunch of MLS players. And then he says things about MLS that people go, what? No, you can't possibly believe that. You can't possibly think MLS is okay, Eric. It must be trash like everybody else who pays attention. Like so many people who make the national team the center of their life. And I said this, I don't know if it wasn't about the roster. It was about Paxton Aronson, right? I know we covered this last week, right?
Yeah.
Paxton Aronson signs with Colorado, and you had those certain accounts and a certain type of national team fan who were like, U.S. Soccer has to punish the Rapids for enticing Paxton Aronson to MLS, and this is an act of aggressive act or something, whatever that was, and it's like. This idea that all roads lead to the national team and that everything American soccer must feed the national team or it's worthless or it's wrong is insanity.
Where do we get this nationalism? Where does that come from?
I don't even know. I don't know. And
are we just going to go by the fact you called me Eric? Did you want me not to notice that?
Did I do that? Did I say Eric?
That happened.
And it's been a long day. I finished the radio like an hour and a half ago. It's been a long day.
I'll give you one freebie, but it happens again.
You do have a lot in common with Eric Winaldi.
I frustrate you the same way. That's what it is.
I love you more than I love him. I think that's yeah.
But also, because I live in California, is that why?
I know you don't pay attention as much as you used to, but I do know that you were a United fan, and so is he apparently. So
I grew up a United fan.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. So, all right, let's hear.
Here's the thing. We want all that challenging stuff of a foreigner coming in and teaching us how to soccer. We want that until we don't get instant gratification.
Is there like a daddy thing happening there? It's really weird. It gets really into some
we don't have the patience to let them actually do what he wants to do. And if there's a couple wins in here, he would get a lot more carte blanche to do what he's doing right now. So
I agree with that.
He must have the backing of the federation to have the balls he has to pull the things off and do the rosters that he's doing, because it obviously is frustrating for everyone else. But you can't have it both ways for the fan base. We could go get a Bob Bradley and you'd be playing very, very tight, very boring soccer and maybe getting results.
Okay, I mean that was true during Bob's tenure as a national team coach. I don't think that who he is now, but okay, let me address this. Phantom Frank says, please stop making excuses for Poach. Call it what it is. Marsh is calling the best available to him. Maybe a couple to see what they have, but not as much as Poach, right? Saying that Jesse Marsh is doing
so feel respect for the Gegner. What
Poach is supposed to do, which is call in your best team. And again, best is about what club they play for, right? Generally speaking, that's what this is, right? We're saying you should be picking players that are at places like Juventus and whatever European club, generally speaking. Right. That's why people would have an issue with this roster, because this roster has a bunch of players that are in Major League Soccer or places where they don't
have the depth of a pool as the U.S. does either, though.
No, maybe that's fair. Okay, but I think what's interesting about this again is we are sitting here going, give us something to hang on to now, and Poach is like, nothing matters until June of 2026. What are you talking about? Why are you worried? He's not saying it, but this is the message I kind of get. Like, this is a process.
This is exactly when my wife and I drive in the car together. When she doesn't understand that I'm not braking yet, because I know I see the car that's out there, and I feel I have plenty of time to make this call on when to brake. But she has her hands on the dashboard and screaming, "Do you see that car?"
No, you and I have a lot in common on that, brother.
I see it. I know it. Poach is like, I see it. It's right there. It's 2026. I got this.
Yeah.
And she's like, dude, you got to make a decision. This is coming up.
Yeah. He is clearly upending a lot of people's expectations of him, which I think is fascinating. And so I'm going to play the clip from yesterday that is about MLS. Now, he said a lot of things that I thought were interesting. He talked about, again, does he have 16 players already? No. What's his player pool? 65. He mentioned specific players. He said at one point, and I saw Seth Vertelny, a friend of mine, Seth Vertelny, like him a lot.
Name drop.
Editor, writer at Pro Soccer Wire. This is what Mauricio Pochettino, I'm paraphrasing a bit because I don't have the audio. When asked about Noah Kai Banks, the 18-year-old center back at Augsburg, who he called up, who's a dual national, he said, by the end of the season, he could be the best center back in Europe. He could be the best center back in the Bundesliga. He could be the best center back in Europe. And I saw Seth wrote this up. I haven't read the article, so I don't know what Seth said in the article. But the headline was, Pochettino says Noah Kai Banks could be the best center back in Europe by the end of the season. Now, I did not take it. When I heard Mauricio Pochettino say those words, I didn't take it as he thinks Noah Kai Banks could actually be that. I think what he was saying is we have to allow for possibilities we cannot possibly know yet. Like basically just this kind of like musing of, we don't know what's going to happen. Half the team could be injured by the time we get to May. He could be down Pulisic. He could be down Pepe. He could be down Weston McKennie. He could be down Tyler Adams. He doesn't know. So why would he be thinking to that time when he has so much distance?
Well,
between
there is a reason to be thinking of that time, because you want chemistry by the time you get there. They think that's the annoying thing to the fan base, is that with no track record of results or chemistry or an idea of what the plan is, we are still figuring things out 10 months out from the World Cup. And I totally see your side of it, what you're saying right there, his line of thinking. I get it. You need to have as much knowledge of your pool as possible, because he didn't grow up here hearing of these names or anything like that. He had to get jump, figure it all out. But you have to go into it with confidence and chemistry, or you're not going to get the results.
No, see, so Riverside Grove says build chemistry, and Connor says, I don't think Poch values chemistry. This is what I'm talking about. I don't think Poch is his base state when it comes to a national team, which he played for but never managed before this time. I think his base state is, in the moment, what's the best team? It doesn't matter if they've ever played before. It doesn't matter if
that is a very national team approach, you know.
That's what I'm saying. This is a different way of doing it than almost anybody we've ever had. Even Klinsmann, right? Even Bora. But Bora, of course, they were in camp together for a year before they ever played in a World Cup.
They had no jobs to go to, you know. Like
that's what I'm saying. That was a very different world. All right, so here is what Pochettino said about Major League Soccer.
We need to give the MLS the value, because I think competing there, I think the player can show that they can perform in the national team. I think it's not necessary to move from MLS to Europe, because sometimes the MLS, under my assessment, maybe is more competitive than some leagues in Europe.
All right. Before I say anything, give me your response.
I don't disagree with him, but the problem is the way he has phrased that and how the average soccer.
Don't worry about Don't worry about how it's interpreted.
Choose to take it.
Yes, I understand that that's part of our discussion. Like
he's not talking about the Premier League when he says that. He's talking about you might be better off here than the Danish league. You may be better off here than the Belgian league. You know, like that's what
I don't know, man. That's probably not the Belgian league, but some of those leagues for sure.
But listen, that's what there's plenty of people are saying it's better than the championship. I don't know. There's no way to ever definitively answer that. That's the problem with this take, is that there's no way to ever prove it. All you can do is you can say you have a elite level professional club coach that knows more than me, knows more than you, knows more than every kid out there that played till they were 10 years old and is now a fan of this team and wants to have an opinion.
There are some guys that have licenses that have played at reasonable levels who very much disagree with this take and very much agree with Pochettino and very much think he got this roster.
They weren't given the job.
They're not. You're right. Absolutely. I think one way to think about this is that Pochettino doesn't look at players and go, you are where you play. He looks at players and goes, you could be good. Like I'm going to try to, now it's really tough to take them out of the context of the league or the team they play in. I think that's very difficult. And it's very possible he's missing the forest for the trees on that front. Okay. But I don't think he's looking at some of the guys on this list, this roster that we've thrown up and saying, Alex Freeman isn't good enough because he plays in Orlando. He's going, Alex Freeman, who's a young player and could still have a European future. He's going, Alex Freeman could be one of the best right backs we have Period. Doesn't matter. He's taking the player out of the league. Does that make sense? Now you have to consider the league on some level, like you've got to a professional level. But I guess what I'm saying is you are not the league you play in when it comes to Mauricio Pochettino's assessment for your national team prospects. Right? That he's not considering that. I mean, he is, but it's not the same as like, because you play in the Premier League, you're obviously better than everybody else. Or because you play in Serie A, you're obviously better than everybody else at your position. That's not how he's viewing it. And again, you have to consider that he's thinking in terms of traits for players as much as he's thinking about just like, are you a good player? Because we've seen plenty of players, and I think Johnny Cardoso is an excellent example of this, who thrive in certain environments at the club level in very good leagues, and then show up for the national team, and we all go, what's the big deal? I don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times can you watch Johnny Cardoso play for the national team before you're not impressed with Atletico Madrid next to his name? I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, you can say the same thing. Malik Tillman had the same thing going into the Gold Cup, right? Sure, you've got Bayern Munich next to your name. You've got PSV next to your name. But what have you shown us? Now, he shed that. And luckily for Poch, if Poch hadn't stuck with that player, we would still have that opinion of him right now. You know, so I think Cardoso gets another shot at some point.
And this is not to defend Pochettino and say he's doing it the right way. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in his head, because I absolutely think
the right way is.
It is possible, though. Yes, you're right. And again, we should not judge anything until the World Cup. And anybody who says they know how the World Cup is going to go is a liar or an idiot. You just don't know. Okay. There are plenty of examples of national teams struggling all the way up until the World Cup happens. And then the World Cup comes and things come together and boom, they're a quarterfinalist or a semifinalist. It happens. I'm not saying it's likely. That's not what I'm saying. Or I'm not saying it excuses certain mistakes that might be being made now, but it's really hard to know what those mistakes are right now because we don't have the most important results to judge by.
And listen, and I also understand that I'm not mad at him if this is an end game kind of thing to motivate players. You know, not the way the flat Christian Pulisic got in the summer. You know, like I'm interested to see how he's going to play this coming week. You know, I want to see what that fire did. Weston McKennie not getting called up now twice. I'm interested to see what that's going to do to a player. You know, like there's elements here where I don't know if he's playing chess or checkers. He could just be doing all this stuff and there's no grand plan. But what he has chosen to do has forced some narratives that I'm interested to see what comes out of.
This take. I'm sorry, Greg. This is an idiotic take. You have no idea. You are down on the national team, which I don't think it's idiotic. For.
What else? Okay. What has he been shown in the last year? Let's think that something other than that would happen.
No. I'm saying it is idiotic to assume you know what's going to happen. I'm not saying that you're wrong to be down on the national team. You could say I'm worried without taking it to we're going to be grouped at the World Cup at home. I don't think it's
idiotic. Like, listen, we just got grouped at the Copa America. Why would we not get grouped in the World Cup? The information data
again. I'm not saying
it's on Greg's side, not yours.
No, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm saying there's no, what we know right now is not enough information to judge that by, is what I'm saying. And if you think you know, I don't know, that's insane to me that you can go to this.
In your scenario, you can never have an opinion until the tournament's over.
That's not what I'm saying. Have an opinion. I'm saying it's weird. It's one thing to say, I'm not very confident that we're going to get out of the group. It's a different thing to say, we're definitely getting grouped. Those are different things. Those are different levels of
let's read this comment again. Let's be real. This generation is headed to be grouped at a home World Cup.
But I don't believe that.
Definitely. You didn't, but you're just choosing to assume that.
What?
He doesn't say definitely. You're putting words in his mouth.
They're headed for getting grouped at a home World Cup. All right.
They are, dude. You're okay. Would you put more stock right now on them getting grouped or making the quarterfinal
World Cup? It's a 48-team World Cup on home soil.
Would you put more?
That's first of all, that's a wide range. If you want to say, you know, are they going to get grouped or not? I would pick not get grouped. I would say they're going to get out of the group.
I'm trying to give you a tougher scenario here. If you had $500 right now, would you put it on getting grouped or making the quarterfinal?
I would probably put it on making the quarterfinal because it's still a home World Cup.
Okay.
Why would I do that? First of all, why would I bet
they literally
against my
didn't make
team?
it out of the Copa America, and they haven't won any impressive games in the last 2 years.
That's fair. That is fair. But
luckily,
again,
they're a home seed. That's the only thing working for them right now.
But again, that matters. And okay, the doom and gloom, the doom and gloom that swirls around this is really tough, because I understand where it comes from, but I don't know that it's always based. It's not. Again, I know the word, the Copa America went sideways. Part of that was player behavior. Part of that was there were lots of things that happened in that tournament that you couldn't have predicted. So to say, again, to draw a straight line between that tournament and what's going to happen in 2026 doesn't feel right to me.
But player behavior is an issue with this team. Serginho Dest did the same thing as Weah. Like player behavior, the players aren't coming to the camps in the summer. This is player behavior.
All right, but you can't. All right. Again, I think the problem for me is that a national team is never consistent enough to be able to judge much of what's going to happen from tournament to tournament.
That's true for every team, though.
No, that's true for the national team. That's not true for club teams.
That's not every national team is what I meant. I'm sorry. I meant for every national team.
Sure. And obviously there's a level of the talent there or whatever, or you're going off the back. I mean, we have seen, for example, right, just to kind of point out the variability at play here. And there are certainly countries, again, that have a higher ceiling. The U.S.'s ceiling is not very high. I will not argue that. But there are countries that have won World Cups and missed the knockout phase the next tournament, right? And that's 4 years. And you wouldn't normally think 4 years is enough to kind of upend an entire pro. And that tournament, in that case, 3 games at a World Cup. Now, because it's 3 games, the variability level is high. So I can't feel more confident about getting grouped than getting to a quarterfinal, if only because they could find a way to win something that we don't expect them to win. I know the history's not on that side, but again, I also choose to sort of be positive about a home World Cup. And if that's just basically on faith more than anything else, all right.
I'll also say this. The in terms of the bet scenario I gave you, which is ridiculous, but I give it to you anyway, between grouped or quarterfinal, it's cool. The odds are so much higher to getting grouped, because almost half the teams get grouped and only 8 teams make the quarterfinal.
You're saying only, half. Yes, exactly.
So the odds are on your side to pick the grouped. I'm just letting you know from a stats standpoint.
I mean, sure. There's more clubs are going to exit in the first round than are going to make the quarterfinal. I understand that. Quarterfinal is only 8 teams. Absolutely. And again, that's a high bar, right? That's the
bar you have to meet to be, if you're going to be compared to 1994.
Sure. I mean, 32 teams in 94, very different. They didn't make the quarterfinal in 94.
No, they made the second round, but like 94, you make the second round. In 2002, you make the quarterfinal. You know, like if you want to be some of the benchmark teams, I mean, the U.S. had never made it out of a first round when they did it in 94. But if you want to hit some of these hallmark plateaus to be compared against some of the teams that we laud out there, you've got to do something special this coming year. And I think that's where I think Americans are worried about being embarrassed at home.
That's definitely a concern. That's definitely a concern. Again, and maybe I'm just trying to avoid thinking about it. Maybe it's a psychological trick I'm playing on myself, which, I think as a fan is sort of a natural place to be. And again, I think that's one of my issues. And if you want to be doom and gloom and that makes you happy, I mean, obviously it doesn't, but if you want to be doom and gloom because you can't figure out any other way to be, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, I understand that the recent history and the trajectory of this team isn't positive. And you are certainly within reason to say this is going to be a disastrous World Cup. All I'm saying is you can't predict the future, right? So why wouldn't I leave the door open for things to come together in the last 2 months before the World Cup, for everybody to be healthy and for Pochettino to figure it out, to pick a team that can go out and compete? I don't know.
Because if you leave your heart open, Jason, people stomp on it in this world.
But the margin, think about the margins in 2022, right? And I know everybody wants to point to the Netherlands game and say, oh, we got played off the park or whatever. Mistakes were made in that game. Absolutely. Mistakes were made in that game.
2-1 at one point, I believe, right?
There were opportunities to figure that out, right? And maybe it was playing Tyler too much, or maybe it was some positioning issues, or maybe it was leaving some space that shouldn't have been there. And better teams will find ways to exploit that. Absolutely. And that's a problem when you go up against a team like the Dutch. But the margins are still small, right? The margins are still relatively small. And I guess that's all I'm saying is like the margins haven't been on our side for a while now. And maybe there's no reason to think that they will turn the other way.
So what you're saying is that in a world of choices, why would you choose to be anything other than an optimist?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of that. And you could say I'm an idiot for being an optimist, but I'd rather be an optimist and be called an idiot and feel positive about the potential of my team than sort of like always be angry. Like, I just don't get that idea of like, I'm a fan who's always angry and I'm gonna go yell about my team all the time, or I'm going to write 500-word tweets about why this is bad or whatever. Like, I struggle with that part of it. Like, I struggle with this idea that we're supposed to be negative. Again, you say ignore the evidence, but again, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. It's impossible to say we're definitely doing this or we're definitely doing that. If you want to say trajectory and I was too hard earlier, then fine. That's fair. The trajectory is not good. Absolutely not. Right? It's just, it feels weird to be like choosing negativity all the time.
All right. So if you're going to call me out by putting like chat things up on the screen, you better address it because that dude's wrong. No, the one about the 32 of 48 teams. It says Rodius is wrong. 32 of 48 teams advance from the groups. The 16 bad teams.
No, he's right.
No, okay. No, he's not right in terms of what's the better bet because 33% of the teams exit in the first round. 16% of the teams make it to the quarterfinal.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
There's just statistically more likelihood. There's double the likelihood.
I think what he's saying, all he's saying is that it's you were saying half the teams are going to get
showing me is he's not a guy that bets.
Okay. He's just telling you were wrong about the number of teams that leave in the group stage. That's all.
This is this guy that bets the horde on the craps table.
Okay. Triple what was it? Atlas. Atlas.
3-eye Atlas.
Elephant. Okay, sorry, I couldn't remember what it
all
was.
Fun and games until you have to respond.
What's the percentages? What are the percentages there again? You know them off the top of your head. Something about there's 1% chance.
It's a fraction of a 1% that a natural object would come in on our orbital plane and bypass two of the planets in our solar system so perfectly, with the option of potentially going to a third with a assist of a change.
I don't know what perfectly means. What does perfectly mean? What does that mean in this context?
Okay, you know that our solar system exists on one plane, right? They're like all the planets are lined up in one plane, gravitational. Like it's all like on a tabletop. All the worlds are there. There's not like Earth's up here, Venus is down here, Jupiter over here. We're all on one plane. This object happens to be coming out of the 360 possible degrees that something could become from outside our solar system into it. It's coming in right on our orbital plane with the best chance of going by as many planets as possible. That's all I'm saying from a percentage standpoint.
Okay, now that we've gotten past,
you asked me to talk about it. Like, don't look at me like I killed the conversation. You chose to talk about it.
I asked you. You're right, and you explained it, and thank you for doing so. And now I'm just trying to clear my brain of all that stuff, the celestial bodies and all the math, orbital planes.
Yeah,
man, that's
freaking Copernicus. What was he thinking? Pythagorean, what a douche.
I mean, I don't know. All right, look, this is the state of things. The national team program has been bad for a while. This high-priced foreign manager hasn't delivered any results that make us feel confident about the future of the team. But again, you can go back to the Copa America, which is 1 year ago, right? And argue that not a lot has changed since then, at least in terms of the player pool. There are a couple of new faces. Well, no, but this is my point. Again, I'll come back to the statement that, and maybe he was trying to win the Nations League, but it was early enough in his tenure that he really just didn't have a handle on it. And I'm leaning towards, if you ask me which way I'm leaning towards Pochettino's a bad international manager more than I'm leaning to he's going to figure it all out and it's going to come great together, come together. But it's possible to argue that Pochettino really does see the point of all of this being the summer of 2026, and really, who cares what the results are? right now, or those are secondary to seeing this player group, or and of course he needs time to figure it out. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Listen, I'll tell you the same thing I just told you 6 seconds ago. The problem with that approach is it leaves you open to hurt more. Taking the stance of, I hope everything's going to work out in the end, I have faith, that hurts more when it doesn't happen. So I think people are naturally putting up their defenses, raising their pitchforks, and being like, I'm going to be on the record that on August 27th, I said this wasn't going to work. And then when it doesn't, guess what? They get to bring that tweet back up, put it back out there and say, I was right.
Yeah. And again, I do think there's a disconnect. So this is the risk you take. And I know we had a very strident conversation like we always do around a national team manager. And certainly if you want to direct some anger, direct it at U.S. Soccer for choosing to hold on to Greg in the first place and force us into a situation where Pochettino got hired when he got hired. Now, he wasn't available when Greg got his contract re-upped for a second cycle. So you wouldn't have ended up with Pochettino. Now, maybe you would end up with somebody else, but would that have been another American? And would we be back in this conversation? Now, obviously, if you deliver results, it kind of protects you from this stuff. And that's not something that this team has been able to do, right? They haven't delivered the results. And like I said, I think Pochettino is taking a very pragmatic and methodical approach to learning about this group, the players that might be available to him, to what he might have in the World Cup in 2026. And he is not prioritizing put the best team on the field and win a soccer game, which, as Riverside Grove says, is hard because we want to see our team win. And I read something
that's
today.
Not the job, right? That's not the job.
No, that's the thing. I read today, I can't remember whose ghost newsletter it was, but I read somebody's newsletter today that I found on Blue Sky. And he said that he was listening to a podcast and it was with some European football voices. And they were talking about how weird it was that Americans cared so much about their national team between major tournaments. They were like, England plays in a Euros, England plays in a World Cup. People care about that. They want England to win, but they're not tracking everything or they're not as engaged with it. Now, maybe the media makes the internet makes it a little bit different, but
out of it. But I think outside of England,
well, I mean, I think there are lots of places where your club team comes first and you just don't care about the national team until it's a big tournament. And then you're like, oh, the World Cup. Yeah, go whoever. Whereas we are constantly treating this thing like it is a club team. Yeah. Like our feelings are affected by whether they win or lose. And it doesn't matter if it's a friendly,
we are Americans first whatever. In this country.
No. And I understand that, but does that have a negative impact on the program writ large if we're constantly doing this?
I don't know. Like Mexico does it way more than we do it, in terms of like stressing between tournaments. I mean, the guy's a revolving door over there.
Look at Mexico's history. It's not any better than ours in major tournaments. So what we don't want to compare. We don't want to be Mexico, right?
No, I don't want us to be Mexico, but I understand when a league has only been around, you've only had club teams in your life since 96 for the most part. Okay. And you weren't even popular with those teams in probably the last 10, 15 years. Everyone can gravitate to the USA because in every other facet of our sporting life, we dominate and we're the badasses and we're used to rooting for the USA equals being a big fish, small pond.
Yeah, I think it's more basic psychology than that, which is basically like we want to be validated by everybody else in a sport that we really love, but is not the number one sport in our own country. Mm-hmm. And so we look to, do the English respect us? Do the Argentinians respect us? Do the Germans respect us? Do the French respect us? And so we want our national team to win so we can gain the respect of these other countries that we look up to when it comes to this sport.
I think a good way of summarizing Americans is that we care a lot more what FIFA ranks us than any other country on earth.
I would bet that's
I think
true.
We actually think it matters.
I think that's probably true. And again, this is not even me saying like this is the wrong way to think about it, because I'm not asking people to change. I'm not asking people to be like, I stop caring about the national team and don't stop being bummed when they lose any game. friendly or otherwise, because I can't do that. Like I'm pissed off when they lose. I'm pissed off when they don't play well. I'm pissed off when things happen in Trinidad or whatever. Like, of course I am. So I guess, again, it's kind of like this we're stuck thing where we exist in a world that we cannot block out all the other noise. And so we're super susceptible to being pulled in this direction of like, oh, it's really important my national team plays well because I'm seeing what people are saying in other places on the internet around the world. Or maybe my team doesn't even have as many fans as it could have because people turn their back on the national team because we're not good enough and they have a grandfather from England or a grandmother from Brazil, right? Or they're Mexican American, right? That kind of thing, right? We're always in this tug of war of like us. And because our national team has to win for people to feel like they're good enough and they're not winning, it's like this double thing that happens. It's not just about losing. Like
we're inviting the world to a birthday party in a few weeks, and we haven't like decided what cake, the guest list, like anything. Like if we feel unprepared for something right now, and I think preparation makes people feel comfortable. And there's nothing about this tournament in general that you can point to from the US side that makes you feel good about the tournament. Like really, there's like from the venues that got picked to the some of the complications with people coming over on visas and tourists situation, the way our team is playing, the amount of big money in our sport and what's at stake for some of these things and what's actually making decisions. There's not a lot to feel good about in the world of soccer in the US right now. And this is just one more thing. And I think it just has a pile-on effect.
Yeah, sure. Plagata is saying that 90% of American sports fans care less than Europeans about soccer in general and only care about the World Cup. I guess the 10% that care too much. Okay, I guess that harms them somehow. I just mean individually. I'm not even talking about like the collective. Obviously, in terms of the number of fans of this sport, like we're still working that way. There are probably more pure numbers. There are probably more American soccer fans than there are English soccer fans. It's just that percentage-wise, per capita, we're still behind that curve, right? Anyway, it doesn't even matter. I get very frustrated that our conversations tend to be more like attacking internally. And then it just makes it less fun. And I don't know. It just makes it less fun.
We should win because things get better when we win, and we're not doing that.
That is true. So maybe what is your prediction here for what happens in this window with Japan and South Korea?
I think we lose to Japan. We beat South Korea.
I don't think Japan has exactly their best team with them, but
neither do we.
No, but I'm not saying that means we're going to win the game. I'm just saying we have to kind of take both sides of this, right? Because it's not like we look at our team and go, oh, it's a terrible team and they're going to get crushed. And then you go, well, wait a second. Who does Japan have with them versus what their best team would look like? How much experimentation is happening right there? I mean, there right now, I don't know. And again,
Japan has a very good track record at tournaments recently, and they've been on the up.
That's true. That's fair.
The U.S. has not played well when had you match up against better teams lately. So I don't know. I think they lose or draw the Japan game and they win the South Korea game.
South Korea's first. That's on the 6th, and then Japan is 3 days later.
I'll be in Vegas. You want to put a bet on it for you?
Sure. No, I don't know. Friendlies. You can't put bets on friendlies. That's idiotic behavior.
We got a couple minutes left. Do you want to talk Gio for a couple minutes or no?
Let's do. Okay, we can talk Gio. I guess the deal got done. He's a Gladbach player. He's going to hang out with his boy Joe Scally.
Did you watch Herc's interview with him?
With Gio
and Scally together.
Oh, I did not see that. No.
Interesting. I think more of it comes out tomorrow on like Football Americas, but they released a little bit of it already. And a couple of questions were just what you would think, but he did ask a question about like, how did you feel when the call-ups came out? And also asked if Pochettino had talked to either one of them about the decision. Gio, I think, took a very good tact on it. He's like, I can't be mad or disappointed about not getting a call-up at this point because I'm not playing. So a very mature, level-headed kind of thing. I think Joe Scally felt you can see it in his eyes a little bit more. It's like because when they asked, did either of you get a call to say anything? Like, nope. And you can tell Scally was kind of more a little bit like, yeah, it's tough when you feel like you're playing and you're not getting the call up. So not that he's owed one or anyway, but I think it might benefit Pochettino well for certain players to give them at least a little bit of idea of like what the thinking is behind it. He doesn't owe anyone anything.
Right.
But I think
that's
to
the
manage
problem.
your pool a little bit. When you have a guy that's playing, he's not my favorite player. Like, I don't know that I call him in, but I could see the reasoning why you would. And I think for that, it might be good from time to time, maybe for certain players to come out and be like, hey, just want to give you some idea of my thinking here.
Yeah. It should be noted. I saw this. I mean, it makes sense, right? That Gio, we thought maybe Parma, who does have an American owner, didn't happen. He ends up at Gladbach, close enough together that he doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to change. I mean, they're an hour apart, the stadiums. I don't know the training grounds and stuff, but I also checked. So Germany is one of those places where if you move, you have to take all your appliances with you. And that's such a pain in the ass.
You take your fridge and everything, and your washer and dryer.
Your washer and dryer.
It's all smaller there, though.
Well, that's true. That's probably true. Our fridges are way too big. I don't even have that big of a fridge by American standards, and still my fridge is probably too big. We just have massive. We're just massive eaters, Americans.
You know how much they sold Gio for?
I my guess is less than 5 million euros.
4 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, a couple of years ago, they were talking like 25 to 40, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Dortmund took a hit on that one. They should have sold high years ago.
And what we hope here, and I don't like doing this because this is sort of like wagging your finger dad behavior, and people are free to live their lives, right? But if we're talking about what is best for Gio, the player, maybe this is the lesson, the wake-up call. And he goes, you know what? I really, really got to get my shit together. If I want to be the player I thought I could be, now's the moment. Here's the things he's checked off.
Next stop's NYCFC.
Man's gotten married, 22 years old. I would not have recommended it, but he got married. Congratulations to him.
You don't know what love is.
I know what love is. I don't know that I could have found it at 22, but maybe he did. Again, the man got, good for him. He got out of Dortmund, where clearly, despite his love of that club and his desire to make it there, none of the managers who came through Dortmund trusted Gio Reyna. So those two things are checked off. If he's still got the ability, he's got to show it now, man. Like, it has to happen right now.
Here's the other thing. Borussia Mönchengladbach isn't the type of team that has a lot of money to throw around. He's not going to have to worry about constant influx of new players. I mean, he'll get a chance. Whether or not he takes it, we'll see. I mean, there's not another hot property coming in every 6 months like there is at Borussia Dortmund. It's a talent factory of selling off players and bringing new ones in. And they've rotated, 4 coaches since he's been there?
By the way, how about this? Gio Reyna does not even have currently the worst parents for a Dortmund player. He's not a Dortmund player anymore. But now his Joe Bellingham's parents are now more in the dog than Gio Reyna's parents, because they wouldn't try to talk to the.
They've set precedent.
Yeah, they made it so there's now a policy. Like if you do something so bad that they're like, we're changing the policy. So I don't know. The Jessica Berman comes to mind.
I got to tell you though, if you go watch the Herc interview with Scally and Reyna, I don't give Scally enough credit for being how handsome a man he is. That's a handsome dude.
Oh, okay. All right. Do we need to do like a best soccer show power ranking on U.S. men's national team handsomeness?
Oof, man, Diego Luna is not up there.
Hey, Diego Luna is attractive in a certain way.
People who are attracted to raccoons.
No, wow, man, that's just I've been so good with the drops. I haven't played any drops. Actually, here's the thing. We can finish this out with, because I had somebody hit me up on Blue Sky with this very thing, or maybe it was on Morning Kick Around. Actually, somebody commented with a DEFCON.
Oh,
so what is your current? I mean, we're less than 300 days away. There's like 4 windows, 6 matches. You're playing South Korea and Japan in a friendly window. This is a weird group. What's your DEFCON right now, Mr. Dubois?
I've been at 2. I'm still at 2.
Go to DEFCON 2.
All right, and I'm curious
Not
about
panicking,
people.
but I want to panic.
2 is high. I mean, two is that's
Arm the weapons.
There's only one left, and it's one, and that's when one again. I want to make sure it's clear. One is fire the coach now. It's not getting better.
Yeah.
One is you're out of here. Sorry, it's not working.
By the way, for the record, the chat has it right. Tim Way is the most handsome man in the pool.
Tim Way is the most handsome man in the pool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay. All right. Who's got the best hair? Because Max Arfson's hair is pretty good.
Man, that's
take us to DEFCON 3.
I'll tell you one of the things that I found attractive about Joe Scally was his hair in the interview. But
okay, I feel like isn't he just always buzzed? He's actually got hair.
Oh, he's got hair.
Okay,
you have to go
that's good.
He's looking good in it.
I mean, pretty average white dude, but all right, I got you. Okay,
not good hair. There's not a lot of good hair in the national team right now. I have no idea what Tim Ream's hair looks like. I've never seen it down.
I also feel like haircuts in general have trended in a bad direction.
Oh, it is
maybe
not
I'm not
your desk. Like I have no idea what he put. I have no idea if it's cornrows or what it is right now. It could be anything, but it's usually not up there.
Here's a very good question for one Jared Dubois before we get out of here. Since this is now the open Q&A segment of the show. Riverside is building a 5,000-seat soccer stadium. Will Rodius be a season ticket holder supporting his local IE club?
Riverside?
Yeah.
I'd get a tetanus shot to go out there.
That's you look at this elitism. It's like I'm closer than Riverside, so it's not.
I don't know what division is that even. I didn't even know there was one going in.
I believe Riverside.
I am on the record not supporting lower league soccer just because I don't have the bandwidth, not because I find it less than. I only have this much room in my brain for certain things, and I don't have room for more.
I bet you if we started throwing up badges with no identifying city marks on them, you would struggle with all of the USL teams.
You can do it. I guarantee you I will suck.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be hilarious if we were like, who's this? And you're like,
I'd be interested to know where in Riverside that stadium is, because there's a lot of unincorporated land in Riverside. Some of it's really nice, great heritage and stuff like that. And there's some side down by the river. Oof,
yeah, I'm seeing that there's not a team yet, but since you don't pay attention, I will update you that USL is exploding right now. There is a lot of stuff happening, a lot of expansion teams popping up.
The bukkake of expansion.
I've already tried to convince you to go up to Lancaster and support Alta, and you're like, no, AV Alta.
Tetanus for Riverside. I'm gonna need hepatitis to go to freaking Lancaster.
It's called the Antelope Valley. It must be beautiful. Why aren't you up there all the time in the Antelope Valley? Not a thing. And look, David says Riverside is nicer than it gets credit for.
No, listen. There are elements of Riverside that are actually beautiful, historic, great parts. There's other parts that are not. It really depends. I don't know where the stadium is. North side, AB Brown Soccer, AYS. Okay, I know where he's talking about. Yeah, that's part. That's okay. It'll be all right.
Okay, all right. But so you're not committed to anything, but you're open to going to like one game, maybe.
Huh?
Don't you guys also have an indoor team?
I have to coach a kid's soccer game 2 nights a week. I have a show on Wednesday. Like I play on Monday. I got time for this shit.
All right. I guess that's fair. Life is busy. When are you going to get out there? When are you going to
barely watch the Galaxy? I think they play in an hour.
I know. They do play in an hour. And by the way,
come on, baby. This is the prestige of the League's Cup, the majesty of the League's Cup, the most important tournament in North America.
Now you're 100% a League's Cup guy. You are converted.
For the next hour and a half. We'll see by midnight how I feel.
All right. We've gone overtime. I've had fun with this little impromptu Q&A. So there you go. All right. Any other business to get to before we head out? Anything that we haven't talked about in depth?
You want to pub your show going on the road?
Oh, that's not
public knowledge yet.
That's not officially official.
Okay. All right.
Let me just say that I cannot release that information. I would say it's related to what's on screen right now, but that's about all I can say at the moment. So I will not further. I will that comment had some tangential relation to what Jared is alluding to, but I'm not in a place to commit to that yet. So
hey, listen, if Riverside Grove FC, I don't know, that's such a stadium. If they want to pay to fly me to Riverside, I'll go.
With a helicopter, you want Jurgen to pick you up and fly you across?
A 5-minute flight.
That'd be fucking hilarious. Man, I would love that. All right, guys, we'd love to hang out all night. We cannot do it, so we will talk to you soon. Have a great one. Enjoy the League's Cup. Bye.
When the right people.
Another one.
Damn, dog, that's in a boat.
I think I'm starting to like Cincinnati. The Sausage King of Chicago.
Get to the chopper!
Can I get a manager? Can I please get a manager?
Who asked those questions?
Zu viel Respekt für die Gegner. Zu viel Respekt für die Gegner.
WNBC. WNBC.
Oh, it's incredible! Go to DEFCON 2.
Michael freaking, all right?